No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
Okay.
Mouse ready? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. All right. We're starting again on the second line of Beis Gimel. Dine noida. All right. What we're aiming to explain is we already know that oir, the principal quality of oir is that it is dovuk b'ho'etzem. And we are saying that this, the Vekus, follows through in oir at all levels, even after the tzimtzum. The oil that follows after the tzimtzum also has this same quality. And that requires the special discussion that we're going to have. How is it possible? The hin ein noida, but it is known sheyesh hafresh bein loshin oil or bein loshin atzilus. So clearly we're not talking about atzilus at the world of atzilus. We're talking about loshin, the expression oil and the expression atzilus. What is the point and the difference? It's two different concepts. It says no, atzilus hu gam ken oir, because atzilus is also oir. The loshen atzilus and loshen oir have a very great commonality between them, because the literal translation of the word atzilus means emanation. Emanation means that it emanates automatically, directly from the essence, just like oil does. And yet, we're saying, however, that these two expressions are actually giving us two different principles. And understanding these principles, we will understand the union of oil lifnei hatzimtzum, oil lifnei achar hatzimtzum. The difference is the Iker Inyan Oir Hu, that the principal Inyan of Oir is Kumesha Kolo Be'atzmusei Adar, as it is included, incorporated, and part of the Etzem itself, Atzmus itself. Adayin. We already went through these lines, but first of all, like every time you notice other nuances which help us understand it. What does this tell us? That oir and atzmus go hand in hand. Only atzmus, only an atzmi has oir. We discussed this in the moshel arena, like the human being and the sun and so forth. Only etzem has oir, because only an etzem has a true and fundamental presence, and that's what oir is. Everything else has to actively make itself known. It does not add anything, but just being there. And Atzmi brings the oir, wherever he is, his oir, his presence. And we explained it yesterday. Because atzmi means that it is true and true. This is the truth of this inyan. And if it is the truth of this inyan, so wherever he is, wherever this etzem is, he imbues the entire environment with that truth automatically. This is your voice. So therefore, oir is something which is intricately related and incorporated and connected to the point in the sense that they go hand in hand. There's no oir without an etzem. It's a similar concept. It's not a similar concept, oir and etzem, but oir and etzem go hand in hand. There's no oir without etzem. Oir is representative of the etzem, of an etzem. Which is why we say that oir, the true union of oir, is k'misha kosom be'atzmus Adar. It is included in the etzem yet, still. Because that's what oir is. Oir emanates from the etzem itself, from the atzmius of the etzem. Because the reason there is oil, this is I'm repeating, is only because this is an etzem, because this is true, has this element at an atzmiyistic level. Therefore, this can include in the etzem. So therefore, this oil, when we speak in terms of oil, we are speaking of the oil as it is still within the etzem. That's what we mean when we say oil. So call it B'atzmus Adar. Now, here is the big challenge in the next couple of words. If it is called B'atzmus Adar,
does anybody know what time Mishiach is holding?
What?
What time Mishiach is?
Shachris.
Mishiach.
What?
Mishiach.
There's a
Mishiach.
there's a munchie. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
If this is included, this is called B'atzmus, what is oir doing in etzem? We understand that etzem, if you want to have oir etzem, the truth of the etzem outside of the etzem, it is only through its oir. But inside the etzem, kol be'atzmusay, what is etzem need? What does it mean? The oir is kol be'atzmusay. You could speak of, as we said, on the fact that the etzem, because of its truth, if it should be nisgali, it would be in the form of oir. Doesn't have to create anything, actively make itself known. It has the effect by its presence. But that only speaks in terms of its effect. Why is it the oir kol be'atzmus? Why does atzmus need the oir? And how does it fit to say that the oir is kol be'atzmus? Be'atzmus, he has the etzem itself. He doesn't need to know to convince himself that he is true because he has oir. And etzem, he has the etzem itself. Why do you say that? So we need to understand that oir is k'meshekol b'atzmus adayin shehagilui hu, where the gilui, because the principle of oir is gilui. It's not etzem. It's gilui of etzem. But the gilui is minei ubei, meaning it's in place from himself, from itself, and within itself. Clearly, it has to be from itself because that's what oil is. Oil is representative of the etzem. The Gilui is minay from itself without any external effect, without any intended activity. It is minay from itself, from the truth of itself. Ubei, and within itself. So now, what kind of Gilui is it if it's minay ubei? For himself, he doesn't need the oil to tell himself what he is. And yet we're saying that there is, that this is the union of oil, and that is a real presence. The presence of the Yatzim is in the oil, the Gilu Yuminei Yubei. Again, this requires for us to understand a little bit, to the extent possible, the principle of etzem. Before we approach anything of that nature, to understand etzem and so forth, we have to immediately recognize that we are trying to focus in on something that is beyond seichel, because it's an etzem. Etzem means that it doesn't, seichel, the whole function of seichel, the process of seichel is to correlate different entities, different parts. Etzem does not consist of parts. Therefore, to understand etzem is by the negation of all parts. So it's atzmi, minay ubei. I don't remember, a while ago, maybe sometime when we learned this the first time. Sender Chassidus, the Alter Rebbe brings down that Gashmius is a testing, is testimony of the Koyach Atzmus. Because only Atzmus can create Gashmius, a Gashmi Mamus. Something that has absolutely no chayes, something that denies any source. It's just a metzius unto itself. A stone, a rock, has absolutely no interest in anything around itself. It is completely contained in itself. But it's in atzmi. It's etzem what it is through and through. This etzem of the rock, this is only the etzem of on the worldly level. In the world, the etzem of the world is like a rock, because world in itself has absolute no significance. The building block of the world is a rock. World means lifeless in itself. Where is an entity that is totally devoid of life? It's a rock. Totally devoid of life, devoid of any kind of an environmental interest and effect, is a rock. Completely into itself. But this we have to understand is only b'koyach atzmus. This is not the real inner of Atzmus. Atzmus creates. A rock doesn't create anything. Atzmus is the exact opposite of the rock. It is an absolute truth. But it's an absolute truth, and an absolute, if I can say it, this is incorrect, but just in terms of contrast, of life through and through. Not lifeless. but life through and through. Etzem ha'chayis, like for instance the nefesh, and the shama is atzmi in terms of life, but it is life through and through. It is not insensitive. There's no greater sensitivity than nefesh has. Purity itself. Etzem ha'chayim. So when we talk about Atzmus, yes, indeed, Atzmus has everything, as we're going to learn later on. It says Yesh Bei HaKol, he has everything, and he has everything in and of itself. But we have to understand that yes, indeed, it's not a but. This having everything means that its presence it has an element of recognizing its richness, recognize its truth. If it is a lifeless atzmi, is not is an atzmi in a world, in a meaningless world. In truth, atzmi is life through and through, and this is why we say there is the oir is the gilim in Oyer Bay. This is the etzem, the reality of the etzem as it is within the etzem itself. Not because he's liking it, but that is the real etzem is alive through and through. Again, the word life is a poor term, even though to us this is the epitome of reality. Because life is an active state. In etzem is not an active state. But everything that's in the etzem, all its truth, is in constant presence, in a constant awareness. Not by an active state, by pursuing it, but because of the truth of the etzem. Like we said the other day, and then from the Rambam, Atzmus is everywhere and knows everything. It is aware of everything of everything and gives chayes to everything intentionally, directly, intently, and so forth. This is the oir within itself. Why is there oir in it? Because this is a real etzem. This is not a lifeless etzem. He's etzem not because he is lifeless, but because he's the truth itself. We have no way to conceptualize this. Etzem, a rock, that we can conceptualize. That's within our grasp. Because we have a worldly orientation, limited to worldly understanding. So to understand Atzmos is outside of our realm. But to recognize its truth, that we can. To recognize, this is where we spoke Shabbos a little bit, to recognize that the truth is beyond understanding, and to relate to that truth in its truth level. That is definitely possible for us. And not only is possible, that is a primary requirement. Like the Rambam says, before your seichel begins to function, you have to know, or das, that there is a motzei. Well, how do I know motzei? That is something which we know because of a hidon. I know that there is a truth, period. I don't have to grasp it, and I cannot grasp it. But that's the beginning of all reality. So, oir, okay, therefore we're saying like this. Oir is, the term oir, the reference of oir is to denote that which is part and parcel of etzem. Not because etzem needs oil, but because etzem is because it's truth, therefore it has oil. Not because it needs it, but because oil is part of that truth.
What's the significance for the Dayan?
Adar means before it becomes known externally, which means it is for its own awareness. B'nai ubei. Minay means from itself, ubei means within itself. It is not a knowledge for the sake of knowing what to tell you. It's not a knowledge to know itself. Why does it need to know itself? That's part of the truth of it.
That's the life.
Huh?
That's why it has life in itself.
You sorry?
You said it has to know itself. That's part of etzem.
Yeah.
Know itself. So that's what you were asking before. Why is there light in itself? What is it? What's it for?
Yeah, that's what it is. Light. Yeah, that's what it is. Light. Light means the reality of its presence within itself. It's meant light. Oyer. In our Mishalim, a human being, we are saying, is an atzmi, not an atzmi because of itself, but because of the position and the koiches and the presence that Hashem gave it. He gave him a neshama that chelek elkam mima'al mamush. So therefore, he has a godly presence, and his mitzias is true for its own sake. In that respect, they say emotional for atzma. It's mamash an atzma. There is no measuring the significance of a human life. There's no measuring. It's a reality itself. Now, so Vayi ha'odam l'nefesh chaya. Vayi padav nishmas chaya. Vayi ha'odam l'nefesh chaya. And Rashi says that the other behemoths and chayas also have chayas. And also nefesh chaya. The human being is special. That in addition chayas, the tesed by das. What is this in tesed by das? Here we have, if you're with me, we can focus in and get a very important point. If Nitesei by Das, how is that expressed in the Nefesh Chaya? Nefesh Chaya means a living thing. And in that respect, he is on par with the Behemoth. Behemoth is also alive. How isn't this was chayas expressed, contained in the word nefesh chaya? Then the point is, this is the difference between the chayas of Adam and the chayas of the behemoth. The behemoth is alive; it's not aware that it's alive. Doesn't know what it means to live. It only knows life by experience. It hurts; it's pleasant. That's how it knows life. Doesn't know life per se. Nefesh Chaya of Odom is Nitesei Bechadas. He is a Chaya and he knows what Chayas is. Because his etzem is a true etzem. It's a godly etzem. It's not an inadvertent etzem, it's a true etzem. By Ipa Be'avrik Nishmas Chaim, das ist by here Hodom Nefesh Chaim. This is Nishmas Chaim, this is a godly life. This is not a worldly life. A godly life is the true life. True life means that it's not just inadvertently alive, where he is vulnerable. So no, his life is for real, and that's why he knows that a real thing is known to itself. Das ist der Pshat, as Oir is a Gila Minay Obey. It's a phenomenal thing. A human being, one of the Mishonim that's used to explain, Moshe that the Rebbe knows everything in the entire existence, entire creation, that is similar to a person knowing his own toe. A person is aware of his toe without thinking about it. A person is aware of every part of his presence, of his life, not because he pays attention to it, but because his Etzem HaChayis is everywhere. And it's in an aware state. Not because as a reaction, he's aware as a reaction because it's pleasant or hurtful, like an animal. He's aware because that's what real chayes is. The reality is. A godly reality. Not an electrical reaction, an impulse. Stupidity. The chayes, the godly chayes. That's what a human being is. So this is the pshat. Oir is k'mei shekol b'atzmus adayin shehagilu minay obey. There is a gilu, but gilu is minay obey. He knows himself. He knows what it is. There's an expression. You can see this. It comes from Kabbalah. Shashua yehamelech b'atzmus. Did you ever hear that expression? Shashua yehamelech b'atzmus is the melech, referring to the melech, to the Meibusha. The melech enjoying his own his own truth. Nobody is a fool to think that because it's his, that's why he's enjoying it. That's Muslim because of the truth of the Yatz. Das ist halt Oir. Gila Minay Obey. This is the principle of Oir. Ayin Atzilus who, and now in contrast, the Inyan of Atzilus is Bechinas his Galus Ha'oir Chutz Le'atzmus Kaviyochel. This is the Bechina. Of course, we're learning this for the fifth time in this particular cycle, so we'll try to focus in on each one of these nuances here. Bechinas his Galus Ha'oir Chutz Le'atzmus Kaviyochel. Going from the back front backwards. Chutz le'atzmus is kaviyach. There's no such thing as chutz le'atzmus. There's no such thing as chutz le'atzmus. What and therefore when we say chutz le'atzmus, we mean kaviyach. Kaviyach means if it were possible to so, if such thing were possible. But of course it's not possible. So if it's not possible, so what's the point of speaking about it? The answer is we're not talking about the actual present, the actual phenomenon, because bechinas is galus chutz le'atzmus. Bechinas is galus chutz le'atzmus means that you would be looking at the oir in absence of the yetz. The etzem is there, but you would ignore the etzem. You would not. You have no comprehension. You would look at the oil from the perspective of what you can understand of the oil. Etzem you can't understand. Therefore, the etzem is not involved in that observation. What you're observing is only the oil, but the bechinas oil. Not that in fact oil and etzem are separable, but conceptually bechinas they're separable, because oil is something that you can experience, you can understand, you can relate to. Etzem you can't relate to. This is the whole Inyan from Tzimtzum. That's a bechinas. His galus chutz le'atzmus kaviyach. There is no such thing as chutz le'atzmus. Like we said the other day, I repeated it recently a couple of times. He says that when all Yidden are standing in davening, millions are standing in davening. Are they sharing the Meibushin? They're not sharing the Meibushin. They all have the holy Meibushin. He is not in one place or another place. He's everywhere, and he has capacity for all in the full sense of the word. So there's such thing as chutz le'atzmus. But because of our comprehension, so to speak, because of its effect, because of its recognition, recognizability, is that there's bechinas, is galus chutz le'atzmus. Okamoi. And said this is the term Atzilus. Where do we find the term Atzilus? It's a posuk. May Atzilus ruchish al Moshe al Askein. As in the case where there is that reference. Atzilus ruchish al Moshe. That's what it says. V'yotzalti miruach al shel olech by Moshe Rabbeinu. When the Shivim Ish Mezikna Yisrael, so they were all gathered by Oyel Meir. And then there was an emanation from Ruach HaShomesh al Askenim upon this Kenim. Shezel bechinas yitzir v'his galus miruach HaShomesh. This was actually an emanation and taking off from Ruach HaShomesh, separating how this Ruach HaShomesh is present outside of Moshe, not inside Moshe. And this is what was able to rest upon this Kenim. This Kenim didn't become part and parcel of Moshe. They received Ruach HaShomesh outside of Moshe. How can you separate Moshe and his Ruach? You can't separate them. This is Atzilus. The Etzem, the oil, cannot be separated. But Atzilus is that you take that which is separable, the effect of that Ruach. And this is what Atzilus means.
But even his galus and or give you a cognizance of the atzmi. So the whole thing with Ur that we're saying is that it's not focusing on it, even its own presence is only telling you its ikr is that it exists within the atzmi. And we're saying Atzilus is the bitness his galus. That it's chutz. But even when it's chutz, it still tells you, I'm not here except for the fact that there's the source behind me.
That's right. That's ultimately the point we're trying to bring out. That even though it's chutz le'atzilus, it's galus le'atzilus, but it's still oyer. It still has the principle of oyer, that it is double melatz. That's in fact which will be complete the submission tomorrow. We have to now interrupt with that one. Okay, have a good day. This is it for today.
Why is something real aware of itself?
Huh?
Why is something real aware of itself?
you pass me the mimer?
Remind me tomorrow. It's just a little late. I don't want to go a month foot.
That's the question. That's like, it's very important. I mean, that's what you've been. That's the goes.
Yom